This Bellator MMA conference call was recorded June 16th, 2017.
Thank you, operator. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's Bellator NYC conference call. Joining us on today's call will be Fedor Emelianenko, Matt Mitrione, lightweight champ Mike Chandler, Brent Primus, and light heavyweight champ Phil Davis, and his opponent Ryan Bader. This time we'll go straight to questions. If you'd like to ask a question on today's call, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Operator, we'll take the first question.
Our first question comes from the line of Steve Jawan with MMA Mania.
Thank you, operator. My first question is for Matt Mitrione. Are you 100% now for this fight? All of the kidney stone issues have been completely cleared up?
I am completely, as far as I know, I am 100% completely free from kidney stones, and I'm ready to go, little buddy.
All right, that's very good to hear. Now, a question, if I may, for Fedor. I've heard some rumblings on a previous conference call that Chael Sonnen would like to challenge him to a fight. Win or lose against Matt Mitrione, is that something you would entertain?
Сказал, что Chael Sonnen для тебя слишком легкий. Если ты выиграешь или проиграешь, ты хотел бы, это будет возможность, что ты повидаться с Chael Sonnen. Просто сказал для того, что он тебе очень легкий.
Ну, сразу не своя категория.
They're in different weight categories.
All right, well, Chael said weight categories don't matter, so he thinks he could take you on at any weight.
Он сказал, что вес не имеет роли, что он может с собой в любой момент.
Ну, после боя мы обсудим.
We're going to discuss this after the fight.
Fair enough. And one more question for Brent Primus. You've kind of quietly come up underneath the radar at 7-0 now, undefeated in your Bellator career. Do you think that gives you a little bit of an advantage going into this title fight on June 24th?
Yeah, definitely. No, there's not a bunch of film on me, and, I really haven't been able to show my true potential. And, like I said, there's not a lot of film on me to look up. And, yeah, I think it's great. There's a bunch of film on Chandler and a bunch of wars. And, I think, we've seen him fight so many times and seen a lot of what he's capable of doing. And, that's a lot to, look up and study, but there's not too much study on me. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing for sure.
All right. Well, we look forward to the fight. And, gentlemen, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Dylan Bowker with LibertyMultimedia.com.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call. My question is for Fedor first. Now, it seems like throughout your legendary career, you kind of struggled against some guys who are smaller than you, guys like Henderson, Maldonado, Arona. Now, with Mitrione being the bigger opponent this time out, do you feel like you're going to have a marked speed advantage, and that's going to be a key factor in this fight?
В твоей карьере у тебя были проблемы с ребятами, которые были легче, чем ты, как Хендерсон, Малтонадо. Вот так как он тяжелее тебя, ты думаешь, что у тебя будет преимущество, потому что ты быстрее и легче?
Ну, я не думаю, что это можно связывать каким-то образом. Здесь не обязательно, что легче спортсмену или какие-то проблемы. Есть преимущество в легком весе, это скорость, конечно, в более тяжелом весе, это сила и мощь. Поэтому, да, не привязываться к тому другому.
I don't think there's any relevance or connection with weight difference. Each fight has its own, specifics, and it doesn't really matter if it's lighter or heavier. And as he said, each fight has its own nature, and basically it doesn't matter to him. It's not the case.
Fair point. And another question for Fedor, just, coming from humble beginnings in Stereolsko, Russia, without really a lot of money, and a guy who's, kind of quiet and, pulled in the back a bit, I'm wondering what his thoughts are on being featured on a card like this where there's so much fanfare.
Учитывая то, что ты идешь с очень таких, знаешь, простых начал, и, знаешь, ты очень скромный, и когда у тебя нет никаких таких, знаешь, больших амбиций, как ты себя чувствуешь насчет того, что ты находишься на такой карте, знаешь, в таком строе, с такими напрягами, что таких бойцов, как на тебя это.
Ну, на меня никак это не влияет. Я как выступал, так выступаю. Я рад, что могу по-прежнему быть в строю с лучшими бойцами. Рад, что могу выступать, радовать фанов мимо.
He's actually, he says that he's very happy that he can be on card like this because, you know, he's on a card with very famous and good fighters, and he can be one of them. And, you know, he's you know, very humbled, and also feels very happy that he's one of those guys, that he's, you know, he's part of that such phenomenal card.
Awesome. And if I could just ask one question to Ryan Bader, just having come up short in past key situations, just teetering on the precipice of a title shot with guys like Glover and Rumble. With this title shot coming up, do you view winning this title as like a big capstone, and would it be validating on some level?
It's kind of just any other fight, really. You know, after my last loss, I kind of had to look within and kind of see what was going on as far as what I needed to do in the future. And one was just taking it light, not putting a bunch of pressure on myself, having fun out there, keeping it light through training camp, the week of, in the locker room behind, laughing. You know, we're having fun going out there, and that's when I fight at the best. So last two fights have been stoppages over tough guys, and you know, that is just a shift in my mentality. So this fight is no different. And yes, I want to go out there and win the belt and all that, but I'm not even looking at it, looking at the belt right now. I'm looking to go out there and win this fight. So there's no added pressure or anything, but you know, that's one thing that has eluded me throughout my mixed martial arts career. I went right into the UFC, you know, and never got a chance to fight for a belt. So here's my opportunity. I'm going to make the best of it.
Awesome. That sounds good. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Our next question comes from the line of Mike Vaughn with Rolling Stone.
Hey guys, this is for Fedor and for Matt Mitrione. You guys obviously went through a full training camp for each other last time, only to have the fight canceled on just a few hours' notice. Going through a full training camp again, how is the fight different this time around? Did you learn anything new, you know, going through a full amount of preparation again, or just how are you looking at this fight differently? And we can start with Fedor and then go over to Matt.
Так как ты готовился до этого с Митрионом, потом провалился, и ты снова должен это делать. Что-то ты изменил в своей тренировке, какие-то вещи ты подобрал, научился новым каким-то вещам, и как ты себя чувствуешь, и что ты делаешь что-то новое.
Да, к этому бою у меня больше прошла была подготовка в Голландии, и для этого я готовился в России, а сейчас больше была подготовка в Голландии с тренерами голландскими. Спарринг ребята, партнеры пытались копировать Мэтта Митрионе. Могу сказать, что травмы не так беспокоили, поэтому я смог более лучше подготовиться, чем в прошлом.
Okay. The main difference was that for the first time when the fight was scheduled, Fedor spent most of his training time training in Russia. When fight failed because of the Mitrione's problems, he actually ended up training a lot right now in Holland, and with a lot of partners that were trying to mimic Mitrione's style. And he said that he felt very strong, and whatever the injuries he had, little injuries that he had before, this time he actually felt a little bit better, and he's in top shape and he's ready to perform.
And then Matt?
I'm kind of the same way. I was helping before. I spent some time working. Probably, I might be a little bit more prepared for the ground stuff. You know, as far as armbar defense, rear naked defense, Kimura defense, really like takedown defense. I feel like I was pretty solid there already as far as takedown defense. But you know, we worked a lot of defensive grappling, and it's just, you know, you always come up with something new, like a new kind of counter, a new kind of work, a new kind of, you know, a new kind of angle to work on. And you kind of have to. I mean, like, unfortunately for Fedor and for myself, we had to go through two camps for the same person. That kind of sucks, man. Like, especially without having a payoff, and like at least having to get the fight and then having to go through another one for to run it back for a second fight. So you kind of have to create something in order to keep it interesting and keep it fresh. And I remember before, it might have been hype or not, I don't know, but I remember hearing before that Fedor, you know, was busy with his life, I didn't get a chance to get much training in. I only got a month in. So hopefully now, Fedor is back to being awesome, badass Fedor that he's always been. And, and we can give the fans the best show on earth, hopefully. And, I know I'm in pretty solid shape. I'm sure he is as well. And, hopefully this will be what wasn't in February.
Right on. And then just one follow-up for Fedor, actually. I know Matt's saying he's feeling in very good shape and everything, and all the problems are kind of behind him. But in terms of this fight, has Bellator assured you that if something does happen in the lead up to this fight, that there's going to be, a backup plan in place, a contingency, anything like that? You know of any plans like that in case a similar situation comes up like it did before the last fight?
Если, например, сейчас что-то случится, и он, например, даже с Mitrionem что-то будет, не может никто сказать, у тебя есть какая-то договоренность с Bellator'ом, что кто-то другой может встать и выступить против тебя, или у тебя какой-то... Basically, they talking about the... as a backup. Что если у тебя кто-то есть, что они сказали, что если даже не он, то есть другой кто-то будет, кто драться против тебя. Ты обсуждал что-нибудь в таком плане, например, чтобы у тебя был оппонент? Fedor's response was very simple. He said, don't worry about this. Our fight will happen with Mitrione. Don't worry about all the other details, don't about the contingency plan and what else. He goes, our fight with Mitrione will happen. It's guaranteed.
Okay, thanks, Jess.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from the line of Jack Encarnacio with the Boston Herald.
Hi, questions for Fedor. Fedor, why are you still fighting?
Почему ты продолжаешь? Почему ты еще держишься? Because I'm a fighter.
How important of a factor is money to you in deciding what fights to take at this point in your career?
Насколько для тебя важны деньги в данный момент, когда ты решаешь, какой бой ты выбираешь в своей карьере сейчас, в своей бойцовской карьере?
Я думаю, для каждого бойца важны деньги, потому что это его работа, это средство к существованию, это обеспечение семьи, затраты какие-то другие нужды. Поэтому, конечно, когда мы заключаем контракт, мы обсуждаем это все.
For every fighter, money plays an important role because that's what you do as a fighter. That's your job, and you have to make sure that you're providing for your family. You're paying your expenses when you're training and everything else. So whenever you're making certain negotiations for a fight, you always have to take this in consideration. And of course, you're always looking for the best, financial deal that you can make.
Fedor, did you know about Madison Square Garden before taking this fight? Did you know how big and important Madison Square Garden is?
Ты знал до этого, перед этим боем, насколько важно Madison Square Garden, где ты будешь драться в истории боевых искусств, бокса, что это считается меккой всех боевых искусств, особенно бокса. Ты об этом знал когда-нибудь?
Да, конечно.
Of course you knew about this before.
And last question, Fedor. What went wrong in the first round of the fight with Fabio Maldonado?
Еще вопрос. Что произошло, что случилось в первом раунде с боем, что неправильно случилось для тебя, что такая ошибка произошла в первом бою с Мaldonado, когда ты зашел?
Все случилось правильно. Просто за мою карьеру было всего 2 случая, когда я, скажем, не увидел и чувствовал удара. И это и на тренировках, и в бою. То есть 2 случая на мою карьеру, когда я не увидел, да, и не почувствовал. Я не почувствовал. Не почувствовал, да.
Okay. Actually, everything was right. It was second time in my entire fighting career that actually I was in a situation where I didn't see and I didn't feel the punch. He goes, it only happened twice through the entire career. And he goes, I just didn't see it. I didn't see it coming. So he goes, but everything else that was, right and correct, whatever I was doing, but that was the only time. I just didn't even see where it came from. So
Такое иногда случается.
Something like this happens.
Я думаю, что 2 раза за всю жизнь это не так уж и много.
And if it happens only twice in your entire career in your life, it's not that bad.
Final question: is it significant to him to fight in Madison Square Garden, or is it just another fight?
Для тебя это важно, что ты дерешься в Madison Square Garden, или просто еще один бой? Или для тебя это очень важно, что для тебя играет огромную роль, то, что ты, о май гад, я буду драться в Madison Square Garden? Где такая история?
Нет такого трепета, или как так сказать, мне кажется, как у многих бойцов, но для меня, конечно, важно выступать перед огромной публикой, выступать на большом стадионе.
He's not too overwhelmed by that, and he doesn't want to downplay it. It's basically saying that, of course, it's important that he's fighting in Madison Square Garden, but for him it's going to be just, and he understands all the weighing of such privilege, and he's very happy about it. But he says that to him it's just going to be another fight, and his entire goal is just to please his fans and to show a very good fight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question comes from the line of Ty O'Keefe with the Fight Network.
Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. My first question is for Matt Mitrione. Because you played football, briefly for the New York Giants, is fighting in Madison Square Garden something extra special for you? Something that's more important than if the fight were being held somewhere else?
Not to give you an insanely cliche answer, but no, it's like Fedor said, man. It's an awesome joint. It's great to have a fight there. I know I have mad fans there. Like I played in New York. I have mad family that lives out there, and a lot of friends that still live out there. So it'll be a great crowd, a very friendly crowd. But no, man, really, like it doesn't really matter where you fight, to be honest, because all you do is you sit for a whole week. You sit in a hotel room, then you go to a joint, an arena for 4 hours, and you go fight somebody, then you do a press conference afterwards. So it's really, you can't get caught up in nostalgia. Maybe when I retire in a handful of years, I'll sit back and be like, holy smokes, I just did that. But as of now and in the moment, I'm not too caught up with it. It's not too fancy.
Absolutely. My next question is for Phil Davis. Is earning revenge for your previous loss to Bader a huge motivating factor going into this fight, or is it just more about keeping your title at this point?
For me, I don't want to downplay the fact that it is a rematch, and there's a certain amount of extra effort and extra focus that goes into a rematch. But never losing the title that was the game plan since day one. Get the title and maintain it. So it all works together.
All right, thanks. And my last question, quick, is just for Fedor. Obviously, you fought a ton of big names throughout your career. You've been around the MMA world a long time. Where do you, heading into the fight, where do you rank your opponent, Matt Mitrione, on that list?
Дрался с очень большими именами за свою карьеру. В этом году бойцов. Я пытался, какой ты уровень даешь Mitrione, где он на каком уровне среди всех этих бойцов, имени respected.
Это очень хороший даже, может, я смотрю видео бои, не знаю, дать хороший бой, победить.
Matt belongs to a top echelon of MMA fighters, and especially the elite group that he used to fight. And he said, I think his fight is a very dangerous fighter, and he has the same opportunity to win because he's just very skilled and strong and has a packing very good punch. So he definitely belongs to the top tier of those fighters.
All right, thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, guys. Good luck.
Our next question comes from the line of Rodney James Edgar with MMA Latest News.
Thank you. First question is for Matt Mitrione. About a year ago or so, I was speaking with Joey Beltran, and I asked him who is the hardest hitter that he's ever faced. And he's been in there with a lot of them. He's been in there with Stipe Miocic, Rampage Jackson. He told me Matt Mitrione was by far the hardest he's ever been hit. And I wanted to know, are you aware of your distinction? And if so, how does it make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I've been told by quite a few guys I've fought before that when I throw lands differently than most people. Whatever that reason is, I'm really happy that's the case. But you know what, man? Like, dude, I'm so incredibly fortunate and lucky that I get an opportunity to test myself against a guy like Fedor, who's fought hands down the best in the world when they were at their best. And he's absorbed the punches from everybody. And the dude gives shots. Like, he doesn't telegraph his punches. He jumps into everything. So this will be an incredible opportunity of quickness on quickness, explosiveness on explosiveness, and power on power. And I can't wait for the opportunity. And really, the winners here really are the fans. At home on pay-per-view, that's going to give us a little bit of extra money, and everybody around the world that's going to be watching. It's going to be an awesome experience.
Great. And that fight that I spoke of with Bellator was only your third fight, in professional MMA. And since then, you've gone on to knock out several people. So that's pretty impressive. For you, against Fedor, what is your preferred method of victory? In a perfect scenario, how do you win this fight?
Well, I think I've got 11 victories and 10 are by knockout. I train everything in the world just like everybody else does. I train as much Greco and wall wrestling and free wrestling and everything under the sun. So I do everything I possibly can. But if I'm going to win and I want to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw hands and win with what's taken me to the dance so far.
All right, thank you, Matt. Best of luck, sir. Next, and the final question is for the last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko. Earlier, another gentleman asked you why you continue to fight, and the caveat to that, for those who may or may not know, to the casual fan, that is, back in 2011, you retired from the sport. Within the year, you came back to the sport, and you fought 2 more times before 2011 ended. Where do you go from here? Win or lose? I mean, how many more fights do you see in your future? 1, 3, 5, 10?
В 2011 году сказал, что ты закончил свою карьеру, потом в течение года ты вернулся назад и сделал еще 2 боя после этого. Сейчас, выиграв, проиграв, где ты себя видишь, сколько еще боев ты думаешь, что ты делаешь?
Если спортсмен, я хочу спать как можно дольше, сколько Бог даст. У нас контракт на 3 боя с Bellator, если все будет хорошо.
Like every other fighter, I would like to fight as long as I can, and physically I'm capable of, and my body allows me to do it. But again, it's God willing, and we'll see. So, if He provides me with strength and courage. I have 3 fights signed with Bellator, so hopefully no injuries or anything else. I will continue to fight.
Our next question comes from the line of Steve Juan with MMA Mania.
Thank you, operator. First question on this go-around is for Michael Chandler. We heard Brent Primus say already that there's a lot more film out there on your fights than there is on his. So do you think that gives him anything to work with going into the title fight?
Absolutely not. I think I have been battle tested. I mean, Brent and I are around the same age. He's 12 days older than I am, and I have 2.5 times the fights that he does. We both pretty much made our pro debuts right around the same time. I've fought for world title after world title and beat some of the best names in the lightweight division history. His last 2 wins were split decisions. I've gone out and impressed over the last couple of years, and I'm at an all-time high confidence, and I'm just ready to go out there and prove that. I've had a phenomenal training camp. You can't deny the fact that I look better and better and better every single time that I step into the cage. So, I'm just a dominant man who's excited to go out there and prove that. And Brent Primus has never faced somebody like me. And you can study all the tape that you want. You can look at movement. You can look at tendencies. You can look at habits. But whenever that cage door closes, it's all out the window. And I'm prepared, and I'm ready to go out there and put a stamp on Bellator NYC and steal the show.
All right. Very good, Michael. And my next question is for Ryan Bader. We've already heard Phil Davis say that the plan all along for him was to win the title and maintain it, so that's as important to him as getting the rematch. Do you think then that that affects your game plan at all, knowing that he's looking to maintain as opposed to figuring out the edge?
No, he's looking to go in there and win, just like every other fighter, on this call and out there, and so I'm looking to go in there and take that title from him, not like I did the last fight. I want to go in there and put a stamp on it, and get that belt wrapped around my waist in Madison Square Garden, and a lifetime of work comes to fruition that night. So, Phil's a great fighter. He has the belt for a reason. He's a competitor. He wants to get that loss back and he wants to keep his belt, but I want that belt also. And so, it doesn't change anything now.
All right. And finally, for Mr. Davis, you've had so many great fights in your career up till now, including the previous fight with Fedor that we're looking to see the rematch of on June 24. Where do you rank this one in your fights all time?
I've already committed this fight to being one of my best performances of all time. I've had a great training camp, and my skills are I just feel great. My all-around game is just great right now, which is why we agreed to take this fight on such short notice. I wasn't originally supposed to be on this card, and I got on it in short notice for a title fight, and we were completely fine with it because my game's just at another level right now. So I'm committed. This is going to be one of the best performances of my career. I'll look back on this night and say, man, not only was Madison Square Garden great, but man, I really threw down that night.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Our next question comes from the line of Micah Franco with CageMinds.com.
Hi, everybody. First question for Phil. Does it make this fight extra special that it's your first title defense?
I actually haven't given that much thought. I think in my mind, I was always a champion even before I was. So now that I actually have the title and I'm defending it, it to me feels like just any other fight because I always felt like I was the best in the world. It was just waiting for the time to prove it. And now that I have the belt that says, Phil, you're the best in the world, well, I still have everything to prove that I've always had. I'm going to go out there and put on a great show.
Do you find motivation in wanting to get the win back from Ryan, or is it more about defending that crown that you have right now?
Do I find motivation in doing what now?
In trying to get the win back and trying to avenge the loss.
There's not really. I think less about trying to avenge my loss as I do about I'm going to go out there and put on such a great performance that it will undo the bad performance that I had in the past. Not so
in the
much
last month.
Not so much of a vindictive, I have to get them back for getting me sort of thing.
In the last month since having the title, has that kind of pushed you to another level that you didn't expect with your training?
Absolutely. Absolutely pushes me to another level. I think about every time I get in the gym, what motivates me is setting the bar even higher than it was the last time. I really wanted to beat Liam McGarry. He was a good champion, and really dig deep in my training to get there. And now I feel like I have to raise that bar another notch. Say, hey, here's a guy who defeated me before, and we're going to come out and we're going to have an even better performance than we did when we fought Liam McGarry and took the belt from him. So that's just where I am. It's all about my personal skill set and how I raise the bar for myself, not necessarily who steps in the cage with me.
Thank you, Phil. For Ryan, do you feel any sort of advantage from having won the first meeting?
No, not really. I'm such a different fighter than I was that night. That was 2 years ago. And I feel like I've grown in the last, 7 months more than I have in the last 5 years previously to that. So, for me, it's just going in there. Yeah, I've been in there with with him before, so you never know really how strong a guy is and really how quick a guy is and whatnot until you get in there. So I've only had one other rematch in my career, and that was with Nogueira, that was my last fight. So this is another rematch. If I can bring anything, it would just be those type of things. But I'm looking at this as a whole new fight, and I'm a whole new fighter, and I'm sure he is too. So look to go in there, put on a great show, and take that belt from him, really. I mean, that's it. I'm not looking in the past too much. I'm not looking in the future. I'm looking at next weekend.
How did, as Phil mentioned, taking this fight on short notice, how did that change affect you, a change of opponents and obviously an increase of rounds?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that short notice. It was 9+ weeks, whatnot. But I was fighting King Mo, and they're somewhat similar as far as, they have a really good wrestling pedigree. And King Mo uses hands a little more than Phil does. Phil uses, other things more than Mo does, but we at that point we were kind of focusing on ourselves anyway. We were focusing on laying that foundation to go into a hard training camp. And so we watched a little bit of King Mo's tapes and whatnot, but it was a seamless transition right into Phil. And one thing that, like I was talking about, that we could take advantage of is I've been in there with him before. And so it was pretty easy on our side.
Do you feel that will play a big part, is that you have felt him in there before? Do you think he's changed that much since the first meeting?
I think we all changed, especially, if you look at the last fights and whatnot, Phil went out there, he has the belt right now. Obviously, he's doing something right, but like I said, I don't look too much in the past. I can take some things away from that fight, but I'm not banking on that. I'm ready for him to be a completely new fighter, So, we worked what we needed to work on for ourselves. We took what we could from the last fight. We took what we could from, his last fights, watching tape and whatnot. And now it's time to just get in there and implement that. MMA is a crazy sport, and you can't say, because he beat him last time, you beat him again. We're both different fighters. We're going in there. He wants to retain his belt. I want to, get my hands on that belt, and that's it.
Our next question comes from the line of Igor Lazarin with TASS.
Hi, colleagues. I'm glad to hear you. The first question for Fedor Emelianenko. Здравствуйте, Федор Владимирович. Рад вас слышать. My question will be in Russian and in English. Федор Владимирович, хотели бы вы досрочно завершить поединок с Мэттом Митрионом? И есть ли это в плане на бой? So do you want to finish this fight before the end?
Конечно, как и любой другой бой, я всегда стараюсь завершить его досрочно, победить красиво, но не все зависит от меня, поэтому посмотрим, как будет в бою, что противопоставит мне Мэтрион. Конечно, я буду стараться изо всех сил победить досрочно.
Of course, I would like to finish fight as quick as I can, as fast as I can, but it all depends on what Matt Mitrione will show in the fight, what he will demonstrate against me. And but as I said, yes, of course, I'll do whatever is possible, whatever's in my ability to finish fight as fast as I can.
And the second question for Fedor. Федор Владимирович, как проходит процесс акклиматизации? Все ли в порядке и как вы себя чувствуете в Америке? How is the acclimatization process going?
Спасибо большое. Чувствую себя хорошо. Мы вчера прилетели вечером, и все равно говорите о каком-то процессе. Еще суток не прошло, как я здесь. Чувствую себя хорошо, спасибо.
I feel okay. I mean, we just came to the United States yesterday, so I cannot tell you. I mean, I feel okay, but I cannot really tell you that I already got acclimated or not. But I'm okay. I mean, I'm trying to change the sleeping hours, but I'm doing fine.
Okay, and the next question for Matt Mitrione. Hi, Matt. How do you feel? How about your health here?
Sorry, I took you off a minute there. I feel great, man. Feel fantastic. As far as I know, I have no kidney stones. There should not be any problem as far as finally getting this fight on the way. And by the way, I really appreciate Fedor's response to a question I asked earlier about, has Bellator approached you about another setup just in case this happens again? And his response was, no, this fight's going to happen, but we're going to make it work. It just shows why he's the greatest of all time. He's humble. He's got incredible answers to questions, and he's about as genuine as they get in this game. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate the confidence in that. I'm glad we can finally get this thing rolling.
Thank you, guys. Спасибо и удачи, Федор Владимирович.
Thank you very much.
Our next question comes from the line of Tony Fagnano with MMAtoday.com.
Hi, for Ryan Bader first. There was a report that you said you were making 3 to 4 times more in sponsorship money since you moved to Bellator. Is that figure accurate? And just what does that mean to you personally to have, your sponsors back?
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I was one of the guys that had a lot of fights in UFC. I was on my 20th fight in UFC, so it was a high-tiered Reebok payout for what they were paying. And before Reebok came in, we were doing a good job with sponsors. That's a testament to my manager, Dave Martin, and relationships that we have with great sponsors. And they've always stuck around when Reebok came by, but just at a smaller level. And so to be able to represent them to the fullest, come over to Bellator, be able to have our own sponsors, that's a significant source of income. And so we picked up right where we left off, really, from the glory days of UFC sponsorship right into Bellator sponsorship. So it got to the point where a lot of fighters were saying sponsorship was dried up and all this kind of stuff, but that's more of I think being managers being lazy. And poaching off of other people's shorts, So we've had these, key relationships. So when it's time to plug in, we were sold out, on space 2 months ago for this fight.
Okay, our next question comes from the line of Bob Carson with Sports Insider Online.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. My first question is for Fedor Emelianenko. Fedor, can you give us an idea of your travel schedule? Are you here in the United States? And if not, when will you be arriving? And once you're in the United States, I know in the past you've trained at Steve Kepfer's Combat Sambo gym. Do you plan to do so during this time, during the fight?
Ты уже здесь, в Соединенных Штатах, и у тебя планы, куда ты должен поехать, и он знает, что ты один раз тренировался у Стив Кофера в Combat Sambo, ты будешь ли там тренироваться еще раз, пока ты здесь?
Нет, мы будем тренироваться здесь, по месту, в ближайшем зале. Главное отдыхать, подойти хорошо к бою, купить детскую одежду для маленькой дочери.
No, we already. Yeah, I'm already in the United States. As I said, I came yesterday. No, I'm not gonna train at Steve's place at Combat Sambo because we found another place where I'm gonna train. He's probably gonna do it also in hotel. My plans just to relax, get acclimated, and most importantly, I would like to buy some kids' clothes for my youngest daughter, and for probably some toy that she's gonna love. So that's my plans right now before the fight.
Our next question comes from the line of Edward Carvajal with Front Proof Media.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My question is for the champ, Michael Chandler. Everyone just referenced all the battles you've had in Bellator, and you probably fought for it and defended the title so much more than the other title holders. Do you get any pressure, like you might have a bullseye on your back? I know that comes with being a champ, but it seems like it seems like the guys are out to get you a little more than in the champs of the other division. Do you ever get that feeling, especially with as often as you've been fighting?
No, absolutely not. I think I've had a big time maturation process throughout the last couple of years, man. I mean, not many people have gone through what I've gone through in the sport as far as bursting onto the scene, dethroning the lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez, coming in and getting ranked up there in the top 3, top 5 in the world, and then losing the title, losing 3 fights in a row, now coming back and proving my worth back in this lightweight division. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. There's been so many ups, so many downs. I used to put so much pressure on myself to be perfect, and I could care less anymore, man. I train hard. I do every single thing right. I live this sport. I breathe this sport every single day, and there's not a man alive that works harder than me. And when you have that kind of confidence, you just throw everything else out the window. There's no more pressure. I could care less what people say about me. I could care less what people think about me. All that matters to me is winning fights and providing for my wife and my future children. Everyone else can kick rocks. And that's really where I'm at with everything. And I'm having a blast doing it. I love my job. I love what I do. I'm the best that I've ever been. So it's great, man. I got the featherweight champion calling me out, hating me. I got, welterweights talking about me. I got, so it's just good. It's good for the sport. There's a lot more buzz going on over here in Bellator than there has been in the past. And when you're a guy who has helped build this organization and can truly say that this organization has helped build me, it's been a good symbiotic win-win situation. I've been involved in the most exciting, explosive, dynamic fights that Bellator has ever had and probably ever will have. And I'm going to continue that reign and continue that trend on June 24th and on into the future. And then we'll see what the future holds. But, where I'm at right now, I'm excited to compete. I am firing on all cylinders. I'm the best that I've ever been. And it's, I could care less what people think, what people say. I'm excited to step across the line and bite down on my mouthpiece against Bert Primus. And that's what is what is happening. And it's going to be something to behold at Madison Square Garden, June 24th. And that's my sole focus. And then we'll focus on what happens next. I know there's numerous big fights out there, not necessarily at the lightweight division, but other big fights, welterweight division. I am putting a bullseye on all those guys' back, and they're on notice. And I'm ready to step up and gain a few pounds and eat an extra pizza and go up there and win the welterweight belt as well. So that's where I'm at. I could care less what people think, what people say. I'm just excited to go out there and perform.
And our last question comes from the line of Eddie Goldman with No Holds Barred.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I have a question for Fedor. When Matt Mitrione spoke, he talked of his submission and takedown defense and how he wants to keep the fight standing. In the early part of your career, you won many fights by submission, but in recent years, your victories have just been through knockout or decisions. Fedor, has your style changed over the years, and what can we expect in terms of the mixing of striking and grappling against Matt Mitrione?
В начале своей карьеры ты Matt Mitrione сказал, что он готовится к борьбе на земле и ко всем фильмам. В начале своей карьеры ты выиграл очень многие матчи тем, что ты водил их на борьбе. Вот. А потом ты перешел в основном на ударную технику. Ты поменял свой стиль и что мы можем ожидать от тебя в этом бою? Будешь ли ты опять-таки держаться стойкий или будешь продолжать, как раньше делал, переводить там или ловить на борьбу?
Я не знаю пока, как пойдет бой, что мы сможем с Матом приложить друг другу. Сегодня не на только вариант боя. Нет, я бы не сказал, что я изменил стиль или начал бедно работать, только что просто, наверное, вводил ударную технику достаточно хорошо, чтобы биться с бойцами ударного стиля. Нет, я по-прежнему делаю приемы, удушающие приемы, и побеждаю.
Everything, of course, depends on the way the fight will go, what both of us, me and Mitrione, will offer each other in terms of, fighting. The only reason why you saw more striking is because I actually trained more in striking. I became more confident, and I knew that I can stand up to the guys that are purely strikers. But to say that I changed my style, that's not necessarily true. I feel very strongly about taking people down and submitting them or choking them out. So again, it all depends how this fight will go, what course it will take, and if I'll see any opportunity will be striking or submission, I'll take care of it. Thank you.
Great. I just wanted to thank all of our fighters and all the media for joining us on today's call. We look forward to a great Bellator NYC Fight Week with the event taking place at Madison Square Garden next Saturday. Thank you again, and have a great day.
That concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect your line.